Not gonna lie, it took me a while to digest this album. It's not easy, takes a certain mood, and it requires attention. And still, while I appreciate a lot of things that are going on around here, I wish I could love this album more than I actually do. Because a lot of things here are done right, or at least are well thought and interesting. I'm not Björk, I'm Natalia, and this is my music channel. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Björk is an artist who's been on stage since like forever, and her impact on both music and culture has been tremendous. She's gained fame as a person who mixes up pop and electronics, who has weird artsy videos, and who is an award-winning actress. Fossora is an album that is special to Björk because it was dedicated to her late mother. It was also written in the times of solitude of COVID, and she recorded it with her children, son Sindri and daughter Isadora. As the artist mentions, this is the Iceland album, often uninhibited and volatile, but also full of folk traditions. Iceland is a country where they have temperatures like 13 degrees centigrade in summer, and on the first day of summer they all go to the beach because they know it will not snow. Iceland has beautiful nature, it's something that is interesting for the tourist, but it's definitely not an easy place for everybody to live. Just like Fossora is not an easy album to listen to. I've already noticed my friends who are interested in music, but are generally casual people, are saying that they stopped understanding and following Björk in the early 2000s because now she makes music only interesting to herself. Well, yes and no. For example, I couldn't help the impression that if FKA Twigs recorded this album with her vocals, it would be considered amazing and it would be much more accessible because the musical solutions are here really good and, well, Twigs has her pretty voice. Meanwhile, we get Björk's voice, which is like an instrument itself, and this instrument is a pretty challenging one. At times it is difficult to stomach. I think this album is important for other reasons than being dedicated to Iceland or to the ancestors. Björk typically precedes the trends. Last year I found a hyperpop playlist on Spotify. It was a new genre to me. So I didn't have any expectations, but I did notice that Björk was there either as direct or indirect inspiration with her 90s avant-pop and electronics. And my prediction is that in a few years we'll be hearing the solutions from Fossora on more contemporary younger artists' albums. Fossora has these more focused chamber music moments that I think might get incorporated to the new generations of songs, and also these more experimental moments like beats that go out of sync with the rest of the music. I think this solution will absolutely go into more mainstream pop pretty soon. I have to admit I haven't been listening to music as much as I used to, so hopefully I'm not missing something obvious. These are my hot takes. My favorite part of this album is Eitapos with heavy beats and classical instruments such as clarinet. For example, if this was Arca's song, it would be completely electronic because it does sound like an Arca's song, except it's not. The person who worked with Björk on this album is DJ Casey Min from Indonesia. I hope I pronounced it right, sorry if I didn't. Generally, I think production here is fantastic. I had a great time listening to everything was happening in the background, even if the general mood and tempo started dragging. My least favorite moments are the predominantly a cappella parts, and the parts that sounded like a soundtrack for Wizard of Oz, which is a part of Ancestress and Allow. For example, Fungal City and Fossora break this Wizard of Oz soundtrack type, identical vocal that becomes tedious. They use a techno beat, which at least makes it interesting. The ending of the album has variety in the structure, both musically and vocally. Yeah, I really like the ending, including the last song. And yet again, the album ends and I don't know what to think about it. I know it's good and I think it's more important out of all the stuff that came out in 2022 than we can feel right now. But I simply don't know how to rate it. It rarely happens, but I just think I need more time for it. So hopefully next album I pick will be a little easier.